Now on to something that's been all over the news in recent weeks, Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter.
Yeah, his takeover hasn't been without issues, shall we say, from charging for verification to laying off half of the social media site's staff.
As a result, millions of Twitter users are exploring another little-known platform called Mastodon. Our technology editor Zoe Kleinman gives us the lowdown.
It gets its name from a prehistoric elephant and shares it with a heavy metal band. Yes, Mastodon, an alternative to Twitter that's exploded in popularity lately. The first thing you have to do when you sign up is choose a server. There are loads of them and they're themed by things like country, city, interest. So you've got UK, Glasgow, gaming and so on. It doesn't really matter which one you choose because you can see all the others anyway, but it gives you a sort of starting community of people who are more likely to be sharing the same sort of stuff that you're interested in as well. By the way, you don't tweet here, you toot. One of the attractions of this platform is that it's decentralised. No one person or company owns Mastodon. The servers all link up to form a kind of collective network, but they're all owned by individuals and different organisations. This does mean that you can be at the whim of whoever owns your server. If that goes down, so does your account. You can switch servers if you want to, but people are saying that it's quite a faff. There's also the issue of moderation. Because it's not centrally run, Mastodon moderation differs from server to server. Some have rules, some have none. It's free to use, but some of the hosts ask for donations because they don't get paid.
This is what's called open source software. It's a little bit geeky. It's been developed by those who have IT knowledge, and you need a little bit of understanding of that in order to do it.
The servers are struggling to keep up with demand. Mastodon's been around for about 6 years, but hundreds of thousands of people have flocked to it since Elon Musk bought Twitter. Now, this is still a small fraction of Twitter's 300 million active users, but this small open source platform is rapidly growing its herd.
This is one of the most significant things, because when you look at the progress that the Ukrainians have made, it really was summarized by the phrase of the people when they said Slava ZSU. That is glory to the Ukrainian army. And what they're doing is the Ukrainians are moving in a very methodical way. They first, of course, protected their capital. Then they moved into the northeast to secure the area around Kharkiv. And now they've actually recaptured the one provincial capital that the Russians had, which was Kherson. And now they're moving potentially into an area where they could even threaten Russian control of Crimea. So that, of course, is perhaps literally a bridge too far at the moment for them. But the Ukrainians definitely have the momentum, and they are doing something very unique, very innovative with the Western weapons that they're receiving, Amra. And that, I think, is a huge innovative approach to warfare that we're going to be studying for quite some time.
Yeah, lots of momentum, a huge morale boost, and I'm so glad that we have that map up there, because if we can put that back up, you can see where Kherson is located in the south. And, this was a strategic prize for Russia at the time because it served as a land bridge, right, between Ukraine and, of course, Crimea that was illegally annexed by Russia in 2014. So, Cedric, what do you expect the next steps to be for the Ukrainian military, especially knowing that there are so many mined areas?
Yeah, this is going to be a major urban operation. It's probably not going to be classic urban warfare like you saw in World War II with the Battle of Stalingrad. But what you're going to see is a methodical operation to clear buildings of booby traps, of potential booby traps, of mines, things of that nature. The other thing that the Ukrainians are going to have to do is they're going to have to move their systems forward so that they can counter any possible Russian artillery that is going to be on the eastern bank of the Dnipro River. So when you look at where things are on the map right now, you can see that the Ukrainians have moved to that riverbank. They are now controlling that area. They'll have to mop up some remaining Russian forces, some straggling Russian forces that did not make it out of the west bank of the Dnipro River. But those that are there will probably either surrender or, in essence, be eliminated from the fight. So this is a very important point for the Ukrainians. They'll have to consolidate their victory here. And in order to do that, they're going to have to methodically move forward and, of course, also make sure that they document everything that the Russians did in this during this period.
Where President Biden is on a whirlwind trip to attend multiple summits, and his agenda includes a highly anticipated sit-down with Chinese President Xi Jinping. NBC's Josh Schletterman is traveling with the president now in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. So, Josh, big welcome to you. What do we know about that very high-stakes meeting on Monday? What are they going to discuss?
Well, there is no question, Alex, that President Biden's meeting with Xi Jinping in Indonesia will be the most closely watched moment of this entire trip, with White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan saying a goal for the president is to really establish a floor in a relationship where the bottom has truly fallen out over the last few months, including over tensions over Taiwan and Speaker Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. But in addition to that, there is going to be a big effort by the president throughout his meetings here in Southeast Asia, in Cambodia, to talk about China, which is really the elephant in the room for all of the meetings that President Biden has been having. And the whole point, really, of U.S. presidents coming to this ASEAN Southeast Asia conference is to try to strengthen America's relationships with these countries in Asia that are really pulled in two different directions, between their desire to have strong relations with the West, with the U.S., and the fact that they are in China's backyard and certainly have important relationships there as well. And so the U.S. hoping to be able to form a counterweight to China's influence in the region by bolstering its alliances with the countries here in Southeast Asia. President Biden elaborating on what else he'll be discussing while he's in the region as he spoke to the ASEAN conference earlier today. Watch.
We will build better future, the better future we all say we want to see and we're going to see for all 1 billion people in our countries. We'll also discuss Russia's brutal war against Ukraine and our efforts to address the war's global impacts, including in Southeast Asia.
And so that's really the other major topic here, right, Alex, is the war in Ukraine and efforts to try to get some of these Asian nations to increase the pressure on President Putin. President Biden, as he met with Cambodia's leader earlier, praised the Cambodians for issuing a clear condemnation of Putin's war. He'll also be speaking with President Xi about that, trying to get China to really ramp up the pressure and economic sanctions on Russia to try to starve it of the financing that it needs to be able to fund that war in Ukraine, Alex.
This morning, President Biden is in Cambodia for a series of conferences with Southeast Asian leaders ahead of Monday's critical meeting with the Chinese president. ABC's Britt Clement is there. Good morning to you, Britt.
Good morning, Eva. Yeah, President Biden is here in Cambodia on a mission to woo Southeast Asian nations with his message that America is back. This as Chinese influence in the region grows, though. President Biden here telling the gathering just now the region is at the heart of his Indo-Pacific strategy. It's the fastest growing region in the world and America's fourth largest goods trading partner. So there's a range of economic reasons to show commitment here. But the bigger dynamic at play is US-China rivalry. This region is caught in the middle of the geopolitical tussle as Beijing flexes its economic power here. And all of this, of course, ahead of that much anticipated meeting between Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Bali, their first in-person meeting since Biden became president, though they've met several times before when they were both VPs. But tensions have reached boiling point over the years on a number of fronts, including trade, the pandemic and human rights. All eyes will be on that meeting. Will there be a reset in relations? Taiwan is expected to be a major sticking point. Also, China's tacit support for Putin's war in Ukraine. And Biden tomorrow meeting with leaders of Japan and South Korea, just as North Korea has fired a record number of missiles in recent weeks. So plenty on the table here as Biden visits this region. That high-stakes meeting with Xi will be front and centre, though. Eva?
Britt Clement for us there. Thank you so much.
Yesterday, we tabulated and reported out 27,346. Today's mail was small, 268. We will continue to communicate with the post office throughout this afternoon. If we receive it by 5 o'clock and it's postmarked in time to be counted, we'll be making a run to go get those and bring them in. We don't want anybody to be disenfranchised, but we rely completely on the post office to give us that information. Today, there are over 22,000 ballots that still need to go in. You need to keep in mind, I've been talking about the cures for several days now. Those numbers continue to go up because we process them every day. As soon as a voter calls in and they do the required or provide the required information, then we have staff that pulls that ballot and sends it in a batch up to be counted. So that's why some of the numbers still go up a little bit over what I've been reporting. Cure, we're up to 14,651 total, but as of this morning, there are only 7,139 that are eligible still to be cured.